Hello there, Shortcuts. Stephen here with video one for the Shortcuts price list, which will go out on Wednesday, August 28th at 9 p.m. Sydney time sharp. If you would like to be on the mailing list to see the prices and be able to acquire some of these records, then drop me an email at shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. With that, let's get started. Now, this is a classic rock selection, mixture of Japanese, Australian presses, more or less. Yeah, I think so. But with a big focus on the 80s and some of the biggest albums of all time, with a couple of quirky ones as well. And then, one or two from the 70s as well. So, where to start with this list was pretty tough. But in the end, I had to go here. This is U2's breakthrough record, The Joshua Tree. And this is the follow-up to The Joshua Tree, Rattle and Hum. I'm going to talk about my experience with these two records. Now, for a little while anyway, these are both really excellent Aussie presses. Particularly the Aussie press of Rattle and Hum is really good. I have a copy, and I had a UK copy and an Aussie copy, and I kept the Aussie copy. I really like it. It's really full and big, and it benefits from the fact that it's a double album because it's now on two slabs of vinyl. And we'll talk about that, why that's great in a few minutes. But yeah, these two are of a piece, aren't they really? Because being from Northern Ireland, folks from Northern Ireland had a bit of an interesting time with U2. On the War album, a couple before Joshua Tree, there was a song called Sunday Bloody Sunday. And it was named after an event in the town of Derry, very close to where I was born and grew up, where a civil rights march became a tragic event where British soldiers opened fire and a number of people from Northern Ireland were dead. And for literally decades, it was, and still remains, an open sore on the history between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And U2 recorded Sunday Bloody Sunday. I come from a very Republican family, so I came from a place where there was sympathy toward the political aims of the IRA, and in some respects, the terrorist aims as well. So it was a difficult period. After Sunday Bloody Sunday, they released Under Blood Red Sky, the live album, and on that album, Bono says, "This is not a rebel song. This is Sunday Bloody Sunday." And I remember being in a snooker competition and playing that tape with one of my uncles. And I remember him listening to that and standing up straight. And from that point onwards, U2 were anathema to him. That was it. He was done. He was disgusted that Bono would say that. What actually happened to that band is that they followed that old cliche that in order to break America, you had to work America. To break America, you had to tour and tour and tour and tour again. But U2 were so ambitious, they went one step further. They became America. These two albums are basically the ultimate love letters from Ireland to America. And the politics is still there, so you still, across these albums, with songs like Red Hill Mining Town and Silver and Gold. So that is not an undercurrent that is very prevalent in the music. But they left Ireland behind. The Ireland of Sunday Bloody Sunday became kind of an irrelevance when you're singing Where the Streets Have No Name and you're writing a love song to LA. Well, Derry. But these are the records where they became, one of the biggest bands in the history of recorded music. And you know what? They're both great. They just are. Joshua Tree has got Red Hill Mining Town, which is and remains one of my favourite U2 songs. But Rattle and Hum has my favourite U2 song, which is the closing track, All I Want Is You, where the usually very restrained, edge just goes off. I love it. I've always loved Rattle and Hum. It is a love letter. It's a love letter to Elvis, a love letter to Johnny Cash, a love letter to B.B. King. It is a love letter to Martin Luther King with the live version of Pride in the Name of Love, which is absolutely brilliant. God Part 2, in parenthesis, the Star Spangled Banner. I mean, you couldn't make it up. The live track of Boat the Blue Sky is not so much about the United States of America as it is Central America. But, swing back to Angel of Harlem and you've got a soul song that's as much about New York as it is about anything else. And so you've got this great love letter and you've got the picture of the Joshua Tree, although they didn't take this picture in the Joshua Tree National Park. But it's great. I mean, the opening 3 tracks. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, With or Without You, Where the Streets Have No Name. Holy moly, it's ridiculous. And you still have Bullet the Blue Sky. And then you still have Running to Standstill. I think side 1 of Joshua Tree is up there with anything in the history of recorded music. Side 2, I think, is very worthy with Exit and Mothers That Disappeared. But, it still has One Tree Hill, which is awesome. I don't know. 2 great records in the pantheon of Irish music. After this, of course, they went off to Berlin and made music in thrall of Eno and Bowie and became even better because they became weirder. Wonderful records. Great band. Yeah, we'll miss them when they're gone. All right. Now, there is a slew of 80s records to come, but there's a couple of 70s records that I want to have a bit of fun talking about. I cannot tell you how hard it is to find the Japanese first press of Tea for the Tillman, Cat Stevens. It is hen's teeth. Look at that. Such a wonderful record. And the inside of this, look at that beautiful picture of Cat Stevens. And you can probably just saw, it's one of those records where there's a little booklet on the inside in the Japanese first press, including another lovely picture of Cat pre-Youssef. It's great. Now, this record, 1970, he was 22 years of age. He'd had a bit of a false start. He made 2 records in the 1 year, but this one delivered. And you know what? It is. There's a kind of few records that are of a type. You've got Carole King Tapestry. You've got the first James Taylor. You've got Tea for the Tillman, Cat Stevens. It's a toss-up between this and Tapestry, isn't it? What this has, though... Oh, shit. This is Teaser and the Firecat. It's not Tea for the Tillman. I just realised. You know what? I'm going to keep that in. Here was me going off on this big treatise about Tea for the Tillman when the record I have in front of me is Teaser and the Firecat. Oh my gosh. Well, it's not Tea for the Tillman. I actually don't know much about Teaser and the Firecat. So I'm going to leave this up to you. Can some of you do a quick review of Teaser and the Firecat in the comments for everyone else? Because I've made such a wreck. What a mess. Oh, there you go. There endeth my review of Cat Stevens' Tea and the Tillerman. Oh, how embarrassing. I'm keeping that in though. All right. I do recognise this. This is Strange Days by The Doors. What? No. It's LA Woman by The Doors. You all know how much I dislike The Doors. I don't like The Doors. This record, though, you know what? This record is almost good. It's so close to being good. But it has just some stinkers that I just can't deal with. It's interesting, though. It is in the Rolling Stones top 500 records of all time. And so I went and did a little bit of research for once, and I pulled out where it is in the list, and it is number 364. And I thought I'd just tell you what's around it. I thought it was really interesting. 366, American Recordings by Johnny Cash, 1994. Yes, really interesting record. 365, now this is bumping right up against LA Woman, is Rage Against the Machine's debut album. Then you get LA Woman, and then you've got Substance by New Order, which I went to see Peter Hook play live a few months back. Then Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins, and Stankonia by Outkast. So there you have the Rolling Stone magazine putting this right in the mix with some of my favourite records of the 90s, particularly Siamese Dream, and I love Substance as well. But you know, it's got LA Woman, it's got Riders of the Storm, and it's got a lot of other songs that are rubbish. I'm sorry. This is also the Aussie First Press, and it's in fantastic condition. All right. After that, why don't we go here? The Japanese love Marilyn Monroe. They love her, and they make these amazing records about Marilyn. Look at that. Can you see how cool that is? Look at that. This is effectively a compilation of the best of Marilyn's kind of movie soundtrack songs. It's Japanese. It's got a beautiful obi, some great neck. Yeah, there you go. If you're into Marilyn Monroe, that is a beautiful thing. Now, before we get into our 80s motherlode, I am going to call this record out. This was on the list about a month ago. The Allman Brothers Eat a Peach. And it's a Japanese first press. It's a beautiful copy. I love the gatefold, so weird and psychedelic. And honestly, about 5 emails came in at once looking for this record. So I've got an extra one. I can't do it any other way than first come, first serve. It's such a cool record. Even with, effectively two sides of the record being the Mountain Jam, which is so over the top that I can't help but smile. Even with that, you still have some of the greatest blues-based Southern rock in the history of recorded music. And it goes on. Ain't Wasting Time No More. Melissa. What an unbelievably beautiful song, even though it's as well as being the name of my wife. Stand Back, Blue Sky, Little Martha. Outrageous. If you took out the Mountain Jam, you have two sides that probably constitute the greatest Southern rock record of all time. You put in Mountain Jam and, pick your poison. Some people, when you listen to it, there are moments in there of genius, but the drum solo, holy God, the drum solo, what the hell. So it depends, but there you go. Ada Peach, Japanese first press. All right, I did promise an 80s explosion, and I have delivered. Look at this. This record is ridiculously hard to get, and with an Obi, it is stupidly expensive. So, unapologetically, without an Obi, so that it's affordable, the Japanese first press of Michael Jackson's Bad. The Aussie first press in wonderful condition with the inner, you can see it, of Paul Simon's Graceland. The Japanese first press of Prince's Purple Rain, and David Bowie's genius 80s album, Let's Dance. This, actually no, I'm going to call it these. These two are clear shortcuts royalty. At least 25 of us have got these two records. I know I have them on my shelf. They sound great, wonderful records. Graceland, really hard to find nice Japanese copies that don't cost the earth. The Aussie copy sounds great. It's like there's a certain type of 80s record, Tracy Chapman, Graceland being another one, where the Aussie record sounds great, really good. I mean, genuinely excellent. So, yeah, it belongs in that company. I would need to check. I don't even know if I've got a Japanese version myself. I don't think there's much of a difference. Really, really good. All right, couple more to go before I've got a few Aussie records to finish. The Beatles rarities. Now, I don't think I've ever had this in such mint condition with a beautiful Obi. Across the Universe, yes it is. This Boy, Inner Light, Rain. What a song Rain is. Man, did it inspire crazy number of bands in the 90s. But that is as pristine a copy as you will ever see of very cool Beatles compilation. You know how much I love soundtracks. This has got to be one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time. This is the Japanese press of Goldfinger. James Bond, back in action. Albert Orr Broccoli, Sean Connery, and Ian Fleming's Goldfinger, with the incredible Honor Blackman as the legendary Pussy Galore, and Gert Frobe as Goldfinger, surely one of the greatest villains ever. Goldfinger, sung by Shirley Bassey. Odd Job, The Death of Goldfinger. This is... look at those still. What a movie. John Barry, genius. Really enjoying these soundtracks. They keep giving them to me. And yeah, getting great feedback on them from you all. Oh, I mentioned 80s. Look, I know how much of you reached out to me last time I had this. I had a Japanese press of this record, and I could have sold 10 of them. I've now got a really nice Aussie, so that's on the list. That's beat. That's bat out of hell. And a couple of really interesting Aussie records to finish. I picked up a whole swathe of In Excess and Midnight Oil recently. So if any of you are missing an In Excess or a Midnight Oil from your collection, please reach out. I've got everything except Blue Sky Mining. I can't find any more Blue Sky Mining, but I've got pretty much everything else. I also have these. Time Traveler, Billy Thorpe on the Aztecs, the double album that covers his entire history. Lobby Lloyd, of course, all over this. Really, really nice condition. Yeah. I've never had this before, so interested to see if anyone fancies it. And one of my kind of secret pleasure Aussie bands, the Melbourne band Stylus, who made kind of soul and pop records in the 70s that really sounded like they should have been in LA. Really cool. I look at them. They're trying to look like Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's really interesting. But Stylus, yeah, fun band. 1975, I think that one is. So there you have it. The list for today. This is the classic rock list. Obviously, some Aussie in there too. My apologies for the faux pas earlier. I don't know what I was doing. Oh dear. Anyway, as always, leave some comments. As I said, please, can someone do a review of Tea for the Tillman by Cat Stevens? Because, I didn't. No, I don't want a review of Tea for the Tillman. I want a review of Teaser and the Firecat. What a mess. There you have it. It is what it is. I do these things once, one and done, as you can probably tell. If you would like to be on the price list, Shortcuts Records AUS, all one word, Shortcuts Records AUS at gmail.com. Thank you. The next list, I'll hopefully get the records right on the next one. Bye.